My name is Patience Moon, and you're welcome to Coach Lara's My HR Storybook launch. I hope you're excited because seriously, I am thrilled, and I cannot wait to see what's going to happen today. Yes, we're going to be interviewing top HR executives today, and we're going to be asking them questions concerning mentoring, storytelling, and everything about the HR storybook. And yes, we're going to get exclusive from Coach Lara Yeku herself. I hope you're excited. I hope you're ready because I cannot wait. Oh yeah, ready.
Mentoring means coaching and developing leaders.
Mentoring means, it's an opportunity and a gift to tell someone else how to get to where you have gotten to, but in a shorter way.
Mentoring means helping, guiding, and leading the next generation to be the best that they can be.
Mentoring essentially means creating the next generation of leaders.
I thank God for today, Lara's book. When she told me she had written the book, I was very excited. I met Lara, I think, about 1998-99. Her friend Fadeke introduced her to and said, Fadeke, I think, was she working with British Airways then? And said she was looking for a job. So I said, Lara, okay. What you would do, my house, you turn my house to your office. Sit down, every day the newspapers come, you go through it and you look for vacancies. What had happened is that I had gone through a 9-month working for my husband in 1996 when he was in ministry. And I spent 9 months looking for a job. And the way God did it, I didn't get the job until he came back from abroad, from Washington, D.C. But I spent that time, the 9 months, looking for a job and learned about interview process. So I had this book, Knock Them Dead at the interview process. And I gave it to Lara. You know, if we have many people like Lara who listen and obey when you're mentoring them, I think this world will be a better place. And I'm praying that even after today, something will be sown in our heart, that we go and mentor and develop others. So Lara listened carefully. And I told her, even up to now, if you come to me and you say you're looking for a job, the first thing I will say is, do you have a notebook? Do you have a notebook? And that shows that you're serious. You can't put everything in this head. I want to know how many jobs you have gone through. And one of the secrets, of course, of looking for a job is multiple interviews, multiple vacancies, multiple jobs. I went through 9 months looking for a job, Accenture, Arthur Andersen, I went through Mobile, Chevron, Shell. I also went through so many vacancies, about 9 vacancies. And one thing I did is that I used to ask myself questions, and then I'll switch the CD player, and I will answer them through the book. What are the common interview questions? And that helped me. And so I was able to pour my heart into Lara, and she was obedient. I was working at the bank then, because I spent 9 months looking for a job, but the way God did it, I went back into the bank, which I didn't want to go back into. But, you know, when you release everything to God, that's why I sang that song, we have no other God but you. And I'm sure some of you here, and even if you're a Muslim, just depend on God in whatever journey you have in life. And He will give you that great job. I know you're all HR managers. Lara spent time going through the newspaper. I watched her in my house every day, and she would look for places. And finally, she got a job with HCDC, I think it was Bisola Donge, and started her career from there. And when she moved on to DHL, she shared with me. And when she moved on to Accenture, she shared with me. And when they posted us back into Christchurch, we met again, and the journey continued. And when Accenture ended about last year, I think early last year, she came to me. And one of the things she said, she might not remember, I'm helping everybody look for a job, and I don't have a job. And I said, well, start again. So I told her some secrets. I said, you're going to do 21 days. There were about 3 of them. I just wish people could listen when you say, just go through that process. There's a process Some people nowadays, they want everything fast. There's a process. And after the process, you get the results. I said, you fast for 21 days. She said, okay. I said, even after 21 days, she said she had finished, no vacancies. Then I said, do another 7 days. I gave her another book. But I was praying and all. She was helping other people. And there's a saying that John Maxwell says, what you help others to do, God will make, what you make happen for others, God will make happen for you. This is 35 years of working. I'm still mentoring young people. I just wish, and it takes a lot out of one, you know, to mentor, to sit down, to guide, to coach. And so she came and said, there are 3 opportunities. And I said, no. I said, just let's pray along. Because you see, when we pray, you won't choose the one that you want. You will choose the one that God wants for you. Because that happened to me. I wanted oil company. Me. But God wanted bank. I went back to the bank. To the extent that on my first day of work, I went to Accenture for interview. As I was there typing, I think, what's her name now? Lara, have your friend, the one that's a commissioner now. She's an HR manager. She looked at me and said, Auntie, I thought you got a job. I said, I'm still looking for a job. And I was typing and I said, go away, let me type the interview. That was how much I was passionate about looking for a job. And with that passion, anytime I meet anyone, I will say, do you have any vacancy for anyone? That's always my first question, because that's the burden. Lara, I'm sharing this because you will flourish in that which God, your assignment. All of us here have an assignment. And when we pick up that assignment, we always flourish. Even if someone tries to copy, there's an assignment for everyone. There's an assignment for everyone. Even when you try to copy, you will know when you're copying, you will know it's not for you. And I pray that as we start this launch, that some seeds will be sown in our hearts. So that a number of us, we develop other leaders and mentor others and other mentees and coach others. Because this world where we are, especially Nigeria, this 2020, we need to see others fulfill their potential, fulfill their destiny, as Lara has launched into the deep. And I pray that each and every one of us that have come to celebrate with her, others will come and celebrate with you in Jesus' name. And that heart's desire that you have, that thing you have been planning to do, you will not procrastinate, you will achieve it in Jesus' name. God bless you.
Thank you very much, Pastor. Let's give a round of applause, please. So, just please. So, at this point in time, with round of applause, shall we welcome the person that has brought everybody to this event for a welcome speech. Please let's make welcome Lara.
Storytelling and mentoring, and I think we started on a good note to have my mentor here. I remember meeting Pastor Ika so many years ago when I had just lost my mom. I was in university then. She stepped in and she accepted me as a daughter. She's my very first employer. Yeah, I was her first daughter's blessing teacher, so that was my first job, home tutor. And she was paying me. Then I used to live at Okokomaiko, so I would journey from Okokomaiko to Dolphin Estate, juggling that with schooling as well in the university. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. I'm excited to have you here, and I feel so honored to have lovely faces here to come and celebrate with me. I do not take it for granted in any way. Thank you so much. This evening marks the beginning of a new course for me, and I'm sure for a lot of us. We are all gathered here to unveil the book that I created with a couple of like minds, my HR Storybook. And this book came to be from a point where I was at my lowest point. She mentioned that was the time I was out of a job after I had recently left Accenture, and it was at a point that I needed strength. I needed to be able to find my true self, and I'm glad I turned that period to something positive by creating my HR Storybook. I also believe that as the world of work continues to evolve and experience drastic changes and disruption, it is not only through technology advancement, but also through innovation, through creativity, and creating more human-centered approaches that help to impact humanity. And it's on this note that HR Storybook came to be. I remembered coming up with the idea at first, and it sounded so strange in my mind. But today, we are making history with this HR Storybook. The core purpose for the storybook is to serve as a mentorship guide for our young professionals. And I'm very positive that would help us to improve our human capital development, not only in Nigeria, but across the world. Please, I implore every one of us to relax, have fun, let's network, and enjoy, as mentoring just got more exciting with my HR Storybook. Thank you so much for coming, and enjoy the evening.
Another round of applause for Coach Lara Yeku, please. Ladies and gentlemen, for some relaxing atmosphere, please let's make welcome one of Nigeria's finest upcoming comedians, Baba Jide,
Thank you, sir, for this platform. It's able to be here, Mrs. Lara Yeku. I wanted you to pronounce it for me, because if you know the number of things I have pronounced on my inside the elevator. Because as a Yoruba boy, most of the time we tend to pronounce words as if they are English language. And you know, as an MC or as a comedian, you should try as much as possible not to make a mistake. So I was honored. The former governor of Lagos State was there, Mr. Akinwumi Ambode, and I wanted to invite his wife to come and help us with the cutting of the cake. Ladies and gentlemen, that was how I made a mistake. Instead of saying, ladies and gentlemen, please let us welcome the wife of the former governor. I made a mistake. I said, please let us welcome the former wife of the governor. That was February last year. Till today, I have not paid my balance. Whenever I call him, he say, I'll go and collect it for my new wife. And I said, that is a mistake. He said, look, Balowe. And you know, as a Yoruba boy, you know, there was a time last year that it was so strong, and there's this thing they called xenophobia, and it was all over the place. You know that there was some Yoruba boys that went to loot some shops on the island. They didn't know what was happening, no. They just heard the topic xenophobia. If you see the way they went there, say, we no go agree. We no go agree. Niba. Somebody called and say, okay, what happened? Say, they have killed him, oh. They have killed him. Say, who did they kill? Say, they have killed xenophobia, oh. Say, who killed him? Say, we don't even know, but today we are going to go and loot them. Yoruba people, they have no patience. But I'm a proud Yoruba boy. My name is Babajide Oyedele, because I'm a product of mentorship. Mentorship has helped me. My mentor is Spirit of Sako, Sunday Ayodele Chukwamatu Okundalaye. His name is MC Sako. He's a great comedian that has helped me when I was in Ibadan, because I started from Ibadan. I started from Ibadan, and you know, Sako was telling us, he said, Lagos, you can charge people up to 700,000 naira to anchor event. I told myself that it's that Lagos that I wanted to be. Because in Ibadan, once you mention 50,000 like this, the person will say, I will get back to you. I will not lie to you, they have already gotten back to you. That some woman called me, but when I moved to Lagos, Sako forgot to tell me that there are locations to these things. That's how somebody called me from a place called Songo Ota. Say Songo, say Ota. Ota on Igamo. Last how this man called me. He said, please, is this gifted mouth with bucket? I said, yes, sir. He said, can you anchor my daughter's wedding? I said, why not if not? He said, how much do you charge? I remember exactly. I said, I charge 700,000. For 2 minutes, the man didn't say anything. I also didn't say anything. After like 3 minutes, I said, sir, are you still there? He said, I'm there. I thought you were talking to somebody. I said, no, sir, I'm talking to you. He must say, wow, 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 wow. Please, who did I call again? I wanted to call the MC. I said, you call the MC. He said, wow. Please, when you come, what are you coming to do? I said, I'm going to crack joke. He said, hey, crack a joke for me. I said, sir, I don't normally crack joke. I give people advice. He said, give me advice. I said, sir, please don't buy anything inside traffic in Lagos. He said, what happened? I said, one man bought a wristwatch, Omega wristwatch. Original Omega wristwatch is being sold for 52,000. This man bought it inside traffic at Oshodi. Bought it for 1.4. This man bought 2. It was when he got home that he checked the name. It was not Omega that he bought. It was Omega. The man laughed. He said, wow, you are very funny. I said, thank you, sir. He said, can I ask you another question? I said, go on, sir. He said, please, if you come for my event, will you crack this joke again? I said, yes, sir. He said, don't worry, I will crack the joke. I will anchor the joke myself. The man stole my job. He didn't even pay me anything. Free of charge. But in Lagos, I've discovered that Lagos is quite a big place. Very big. In fact, Lagos is divided into 2. Mainland and the island. When you are going to visit the rich people, most of the people that stay in rich areas like Ikeja, like BI, they always have specific addresses. In Lagos, if you want to go and greet somebody and the person's place is far from where you are, you will know it from the way they will give you directions. Who are you directing? Is he him or? Is he okay here? Yeah? When you are going to visit people in the house, if you want to know whether where you are going to is far or not, from the way the person will direct you, you will almost guess that where you are going to is far or not. Let us imagine that you are going to greet somebody in Ikeja. You wake up in the morning, you call the person, say hello. If you are Yoruba, if you are English, you say, I'm coming to visit you. The person will tell you, you know what? Find your way to Ikeja. When you get to Ikeja, tell them with accent. Tell them you are coming to Oduduwa Crescent. But remember, in Ikeja, we have Oduduwa Road, Oduduwa Close, Oduduwa Way, Oduduwa Avenue. Tell them you are going to Oduduwa Crescent. People of God, if you are going to greet the other people, places that start with Iyano, Iyano Baja, Iyanoba, Ogogo, Songota inside. When you call the person, you tell the person that I'm coming to visit you. The person will ask you one question. Where are you coming from? Hey, you're a visitor. Hey. When you tell the person, when you hear that, you will not know, you will not even imagine that it's because the place you are coming from is far. But from the person's reply, you will guess that where you are going to is far. When the person will ask you, where are you coming from? You reply, say, I'm coming from Iyanobaja. For you to know that the place is far, the person will say, Iyanobaja, don't go. But you will not know. The person will now think. The person knows that there is no way he wants to describe where you're coming for in this life that you will get it. The person will now tell you something. You know what? Find your way to Oshodi. When you get to Oshodi, call me. I beg you, the name that is above all, please charge your phone before you leave your house. Because if your phone dies, you can never get there. When you now go to Oshodi, in your mind, you think that you are getting to where you are going. It's a lie. You now call the person, say, hello, I'm at Oshodi. The person will ask you another question. Can you see bike men? When you now say yes, you say, give them the phone. If you are Yoruba, please look for a Yoruba bike man. If you are Hausa, do the same. If you are Igbo, look for an Igbo bike man. If you are Yoruba, you now look for an Hausa bike man. You now say, Oga, they want to speak with you. For 2 hours, the only thing you hear is, Oga, where I dey go? Okay. After like 2 hours, the aboki will now end the call. Look at you. Okay, where you dey go? That's where it is. Oh. Even in Lagos, when you enter a rich man's kitchen and the other people's kitchen, you can almost guess whether this is a rich house or a poor house. When you enter the kitchen, you will go to the kitchen, you will see a thing, they will write on it, Milo, energy drink. You will open it, people of God, look into it, you will see Milo. You look at another one, you see Big Mac. You will open it, thou shalt see Big Mac. You will go again, you will see another carton. It says sugar cube. People of God, when you open it, thou shalt meet cube of sugar. But you see the other people, when you see Milo, you open it, you will find salt. You see another one, they will tell you that it's Bonvita that is inside. People of God, when you open it, you have been there before. The Lord will bring you out. You will not remain the same. If I be, that's how I came to visit. When the uncle, hello? Sure. Nothing missing, nothing broken. That's how I came to visit the uncle. We used to think that the uncle had money. We didn't know that he was still believing God. In the night, I just felt led. It wasn't me. I wasn't going to steal. No, I don't steal. I was just led. Say, go and drink tea. You know that in those kind of area, there is no light. The Lord will light up your life. That's how I started. I was tiptoeing in the house, tiptoeing. I just entered the kitchen. When I entered, I saw a voice. I went back again. As I was going, I didn't know that my younger brother too was watching me. He just grabbed me and said, hey, you want to go and steal? I said, I want to drink tea. He said, I will be watching the door. You will be making tea. That's how I entered. I didn't know. The first one I opened, I didn't know that it was dry pepper. Because on it, it wrote Milo. You know, when you want to steal like that, you will take it in abundance. You say, freely what you give, freely shall you take. That's how I took it. The boy saw Tito and said, I should want to put here. I put 12 spoons of dry pepper. When God wanted to cut me, I opened the other one. I thought it was milk, people of God. It was dry salt. When I put salt, have you ever tasted salt and dry pepper before? Will you not taste it? I saw heaven on earth. In fact, it was not heaven, it was air fire on earth. When I took it, I poured. You know that there's something that if you take it with cold water, it will not make sense. I find correct hot water. As I mix, I just took it. Virtue left me. When I swallowed, I said, yo! What's the kilo? I said, What put here? He said, I'm not You know that there's younger brothers are always wicked. Instead of him to take it normally, he didn't even use spoon. The boy just felt like he was shaking. I said, the Lord will go with you. You know that me, I did dry pepper and salt. This guy did dry pepper and dry pepper. But the only thing I just hear is, ah! Lo and behold, the boy is in hospital after 6 months. Ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy your event. Mentorship is good, and mentorship is going to bless you. Thank you, Auntie Lara, for having me. God bless you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your gift. Please let's give you just back to one of the please. Some people have read it back to back. Now, wow. Some of us read too, but you find me reading only newspaper. I shan't read. Anyway, to tell us what the book is all about, we're going to have some, very briefly for about 4 or 5 minutes, 2 people review the book to us. One from the mentor part perspective and the other person from the mentee's perspective. Ladies and gentlemen, to come up first, please let's make welcome Mr. Hussein Udo, Group Chief Human Resources Officer, Dangote Industries Limited, from the mentor's perspective point of view.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Now, my role is very simple. I'm one of those that Lara had tasked with reading this book back to back, and I'm coming to share my experience around it. But first of all, let me start by saying congratulations, Lara. This is not a surprise, to be honest. Lara and I used to work at Accenture back in the days, and even then you could see the difference. You could see clearly that this is somebody who had her head well screwed on, and she was willing to put in the hours and put in the effort to work in such a challenging environment. And once she left the firm and she mentioned what she was doing, I already knew a lot of the work she was doing in the background with young people in the HR community. And I could see her growing in leaps and bounds within the HR community. So I'm not really surprised by the book. But reading the book, a number of things came to fore, and I'll share a number of things that hit me. One of the things that became very clear to me is that, if you want to be a mentor, the singular most effective value you bring as a mentor to a mentee is perspective. Is perspective. You provide perspective to those you mentor. You help them see things from different angles. You help them see things from different views. Let them appreciate the horizon from different views. You also help them see new dimensions to opportunities. Now you see that I've been very careful about using the word opportunities instead of problems. Because truly every problem is actually a problem only until you find a solution, then it becomes an opportunity. And that's what mentors do. They help you see opportunities from different perspectives. And that's where the experience bit kicks in. Now, the story, my HR Storybook employs a very old tactics actually. It's a very old, tested and trusted tactics for passing down knowledge, and it's storytelling. It's actually probably the most effective way to pass down knowledge. You see, long after all of the analytics, calculations, deductions have faded away and you can't remember the numbers anymore, you always remember the story. So when somebody is effective in delivering the message with the story, you would forget the statistics, but you remember the story. And when the issues do come up, and they will come up, while you may not remember the exact statistics, you will remember the lessons behind the story, and that is when you can apply them. So the technique that Lara has employed in this book is the proven and tried and tested approach to passing down knowledge. It's storytelling. It's simple, it's easy to read, but most importantly, it's easy to remember. The other part of it is, and I'm going to just share, I can't go through the entire book. I've been told I have 5 minutes. I'm going to try and rush through it as quickly as possible. So I'll just pick highlights. And of course, I really don't want to tell you the whole story, so you can buy the book, obviously. Some of you may have heard of the proverbial man with 4 sons and a tree. How many people have heard that story before? The man, 4 sons and a tree. The 4 seasons. Okay? If you haven't heard the story before, then you need to read a bit more. I can't tell you the whole story because that will take all of the 5 minutes. But I'll tell you the deductions from it and how it ties into the book. And if I still have time at the end, I might just tell the story. The first thing that my HR Storybook highlights is that there's no single sacrosanct path into the HR profession. I've seen so many people that travel several different routes to get to the HR profession. Some studied HR in school, some did computer science, some did engineering, some actually were salesmen and then ended up in engineering in HR. So there's no single sacrosanct path to the HR profession. It's not your qualification, it's not your background, it's not your education. But one thing is clear, reading through all the stories, once you've decided that this is the path you want to toe, you want to be an HR professional, then there are certain conducts you must adhere to if you want to be successful. Those conducts are carefully spelled out in the 56 stories that you read there. And if you go through all of that and you adhere to those conducts, you stand a very, very great chance of being successful in the HR profession. That's the first thing that hits you reading the stories. The second part is that once you've made up your mind to tread the path, then you must be ready to constantly renew yourself. That comes out very clearly in the stories that are in the book. You must stay attuned to the business you've chosen to support, and you must remain relevant. But most importantly, you must stay true to yourself. And I would like to share a small excerpt from the book that speaks to you staying true to yourself. So permit me to quote from Mrs. Olubuksola Abidakun's story. She's the Deputy Director of HR Admin, Lagos State. Her story is on page 18 and 19. I'm going to just read an excerpt from there. Flipping through, I almost feel like I'm going through a Bible. Mrs. Abidakun, I'm going to just read 2 sentences from her write-up. One of my greatest strengths is patience. It helps me to understand the different types of people, the reducers, the influencers, the encouragers, discouragers, and such like, and to work with them better. To be an HR professional, you need to believe in yourself and believe in what is right. Most of all, you must adhere to the ethics of the profession. The next bit that comes out, or the next point this book highlights very clearly, is that it's usually, this HR profession is very different from many other professions in one instance. You would face a much higher level of adversity than other professions. Probably because you're dealing with people. The very same people that you are advocating for. Remember that as a HR professional, you are part of the executive, but you are advocating for people. The very people that you are advocating for, in many instances, would actually turn back to bite you. And the reason is simple, because you would always solve for the greater good, which means there will be a few powerful people that you will not solve for, and so they will not like you. And there's nothing wrong with that. So you must understand that you would face an unusually high amount of adversity because of your work. It's part of the terrain. My HR Storybook shares several stories of how you and some of your colleagues have handled these adversities in the past. Again, the story of Juliet Omamuli on page 119 speaks clearly to some of the adversities that you will face, and some of the adversities you face as a professional. And from my story, some of the things you learn is something that is favorite. Most people have heard me present, but I've said it several times. It's grit. It's grit, staying power and being able to continually self-rediscover yourself. That means there will be times when you're knocked down, you're depressed, you're tired, you have nobody to talk to, but you have to learn how to pick up yourself. Because the truth of the matter is, when you're in the HR profession, constantly people are looking at you. They're looking at your countenance. So you cannot afford self-pity. You get a lot of that from reading but there's several stories here of how people have picked up themselves from very difficult, dire situations. Now, finally, I would like to end with a quote from the story of Okpe Onaboye on page 122. The most useful skill practicing HR are networking, interpersonal relationships, and emotional intelligence. You cannot deal with people through policies and processes alone. Now, it's impossible for me to do justice to the entire book in 20 minutes. So let me submit that I implore you to grab a copy of the book for yourself and for your team members. It's a great gift for business leaders, and it's a must for your library. And if you choose to be a mentor, then you absolutely must read this book cover to cover. I was asked this afternoon, what is my experience mentoring people? The first word that came to my mind was frustration. It is very frustrating because you find yourself looking at young ones about to make the mistakes you've made, and you're trying to correct them, and everything you say just doesn't seem to sink. And you can see where this is going to lead. It can be very frustrating. But how have I coped? Very simple. You have to learn to speak the language of the young ones. They don't understand the language they were using in educating us or in mentoring us. You have to adapt, you have to understand their language, you have to understand their pitch, you must understand their tone. If you can't pick up the slangs they use, you cannot effectively mentor them. And reading the HR Storybook speaks clearly to that transition between, I don't want to say the old, because I'm not old, I think I'm still very young. In fact, let me crack a joke. I was just teasing with a colleague there, and she was like, "Oh, Southend, I think you are an old man." You are like, "Excuse me, I'm a Malian." There was a young lady with her mom. When she heard I'm a Malian, she looked at me. I was like, "Excuse me, I'm Orawa." All right, guys, have a wonderful evening. You must absolutely get this book.
Thank you very much, sir. Please let's give Mr. Hussein a round of applause, please. Okay, that's from the mentor's perspective. May I also welcome Tosin Olushola, an HR generalist, from the mentee's perspective. Tosin, for 5 minutes. Please, let's give a round of applause, please.
Good evening, everyone. I actually would have preferred to come first before him, but it's a difficult, okay. All right, I want to thank Coach Lara for this opportunity. I was so shocked when she called me and then gave me this rare privilege to do this. I must say, I don't like to read books, but I love stories. I love to read stories. I belong to an HR group where they can discuss a lot of things. I don't really get engaged, but when Nelly brings us stories, I'm always intrigued and interested to read. So when she brought this book to me to read, I figured it's a storybook, and that was how I dealt with it. There were 56 storytellers in that book, and I tried to read through all. I did try. Okay. What I got from the book is simple, and from the mentee's perspective, I see that a lot of us struggle with active mentorship, and we just settle with passive. When we're reading, what was showing on the slide one time, someone was mentioning active and passive mentorship. A lot of us see people that live around us, that walk around us, that we want to follow through or table our lives after. But we have difficulty holding on to people and meeting them to actively follow through and learn from them. What I see in my HR storybook is access to different mentors. I tell you, all the names I saw in these books, many of them were not familiar names. Many of them were not familiar names. But Coach Lara has brought them to our doorsteps. She brought them to our homes. She brought them to our hands. She mentioned doing this to me one time. I just failed an exam and I needed some encouragement. And someone suggested I speak to her. She shared her story, part of it. And throughout my preparation for that exam, to rewrite it, I could always remember everything she mentioned to me from her story. I passed the exams, and when I told her, she was excited. She didn't know how much she helped me by just sharing her story. So thank you so much, Ms. Lara, for bringing this, this project to bear. A lot of people would have gotten discouraged along the way. From the book, I saw a lot of people share different aspects of their lives, different ways to transition into the HR space. Not every one of them had the idea or the dream to become an HR professional. But somehow, some people found their way. Somehow, some people realized that is what they want to do. But in all, they learned different things, many of them similar, of how to become a professional, how to do things right, how to, go back to what you need to, the armors or the weapons you need to carry with you as you go in the corporate world. I see a lot of them. In every story, you see that they would give you an advice, what has helped them through their journey. Not many of us will see a mentor, sit them down, and then ask them to share their stories with us, and then we will sit down to listen to it all. Not many of them will give us the right things or the really important things we want to hear. Like he was saying earlier, a lot of mentors don't understand our languages as youngsters, but in this book they try to simplify it as much as possible. Even a secondary schooler would understand this. So I want to encourage everyone seated here to try to buy this book, read this book. For everyone trying to transition into the HR space, this is a book you need. A lot of people will come on HR groups to ask you, okay, I studied this, I want to start a career in HR. What do I do? This is the book you need to get. I think going forward, that's what I would say to people. Get this book. I am tired of, I'm young, I'm sorry, but I'm tired of going back and forth, sharing my own story. But I have 56 stories here that would bless you. So that's my advice to everyone trying to transition. He gave advices to mentors. He gave advices to mentors. Can I continue without the mic? Oh, okay. He gave advices to mentors while he was, previewing the book. But I would give advices to youngsters like myself. I would say that we go through a lot of challenges in our day-to-day activities at work, and even outside work, in the community. And from different people's perspective and sharing the stories of the challenges and how they overcame it, I believe that when you read this storybook, you would see, if not very similar situations to yours, you will see situations that are closely related. And even if they are not as related or closely related to your situation, you'll find that the advices or the way, the experiences and how they came out of it, or even the failures. I was sitting behind her and she was telling me that mistakes, you have to make mistakes. But people say you have mentors so that you don't make mistakes. You may eventually make some mistakes, but how do you bounce back? Reading these people's stories, reading their mistakes, reading their challenges, and then reading their excellence, you would see that it will guide us, it will help us, it will encourage us. Each time, while I was reading this book, I could only look forward to the next challenge I would have at work. I have a go-to book. I don't need a therapist. I'm not saying I don't need a mentor. I have mentors, I need them. If they're hearing this, I still need you, please. But I'm saying that in my own house, in my bedroom, I have mentors I can always go back to. I have stories to go back to, and I have encouragers that I can always read their stories and get encouraged. So I want to thank everyone who has contributed to the writing of this book. I want to thank everybody who contributed to share their story. I'm not sure how many people she reached out to. I'm not sure how many people responded, but believe me, they all did a good job. They did a very fantastic job. And I want to say thank you to everyone who is here seated to grace this occasion. Thank you so much for it.
Thank you very much, Tosi Olushola. Let's give another round of applause. We shall be calling up 3 people to respond to how far they were able to share their experiences via mentoring and via storytelling. And first I'm going to call up, if she's around, Mrs. Titilola Akisoya, VP, CIPN. For about 3 minutes we shall be getting a response. And the next person should please get prepared, that's Mrs. Funke Amobi, if she's around.
Good evening, everyone. And I have day to everyone. First of all, I'm not Titi Lola. I am Titi Layo, talking about stories. But I'd like to start by saying a big congratulations to Lara's husband. Kayode, thank you very much. Because without you, I don't think Lara could have done this. And in case you're wondering why I'm thanking you, as I go on to talk, you'll understand why. Like my brother Hussein said earlier on, storytelling is not foreign to us in this part of the world. Sorry, for those of us that have a height challenge, this thing is... Storytelling is not too far away from us in this part of the world. Storytelling is part of our culture. Indeed, many of you, I'm sure, have experienced it from your grandmother or your mother. And the way they told the stories, in fact, I dare say, if you go to an older person, it's either they will tell you a story, they'll give you an anecdote, they'll give you a proverb, or hyperbole or something, right? And I remember once, a very senior colleague in those days, I went to her and I had a challenge, and tearfully I told her the challenge, and she gave me a hyperbole. If you don't know the meaning, Google it quickly, right? And I said, Auntie, you didn't listen to me. Oh, she said, I listened to every word, and she repeated it. And she said, okay, I'll give you a story. She didn't say, I'll give you my story. She just said, I'll give you a story. So what Lara has done is bringing to each and every one of us, like the last speaker said, 56 mentors who are sharing their stories with you, I dare say, as you read it in your bedroom. And please, don't read it in the office, because you'll be drawn to do irrational things. This is a book. I urge you to please read it in your quiet moments, in your bedroom, so that if you're about to do an irrational thing, at least after you read it, you'll sleep. And by the time you wake up, then you would have been born again, right? Now, my dear brother Hussein called himself a Malian. I learned something over these holidays. So I call myself, or in fact, our president calls me, what do you call me? A millennial boomer. Well, actually, I call myself, so he just re-echoes it, right? But over these holidays, I learned something. Zillennials, right? I'm sure they're in this room. Zillennials, I can see them. So I have rebranded myself because it's part of my story, right? So I call myself a millennial boomer, right? It's my story. I'm as young as a zillennial. That's part of my story. Now, what is it about this my HR story? Storytelling is also about being authentic. Mentors are authentic. If there's an MBA program the Harvard Business School offers, and one of the must-reads in that program is an article written by Daniel Goleman, and it's titled Authentic Leadership. And that article is simply about storylines of various leaders. In my world, as an HR professional, I'm also an executive coach. Now, coaching and mentoring, for goodness sake, are two different things. Because when you're coaching, I would not dare tell my coachee my story because it's irrelevant. Mentoring, yes, of course, you can tell as many stories as possible. But one thing about mentoring is the fact that as a mentor, we're audacious. What do I mean by that? Audacity is about being vulnerable. Being vulnerable is the readiness to tell your story regardless of who's hearing it or who's reading it. And so this 56 stories you'll read about in this book for which we're gathered today is about audacity, is about leadership, it's about tenacity, but it's about being authentic or being real. And one of the things, I don't know whether it's one of the stories I wrote there, one of the things about mentoring is a good mentor is anchored on his or her values. Because if you don't have values, what story would you be talking about? In this world, in this time, where values are so readily thrown out of the window. And so in those early days, when Lara was going through the birthing, it hadn't materialized, it was just a thought, it was just an idea. When she was going through the birthing pangs, and I always asked her, why this book? Why a book to start with, right? I remember one of the stories I told her was a time when I thought I had reached a good climax in my profession. And I was having a chat with my boss. It was an appraisal session. And he asked a simple question. Where would you see yourself in 3 years? No, in 1 year, in 3 years, and in 5 years, right? Good question, right? And I gave him an honest answer. In 1 year, this, in 3 years, that. In 5 years, I said, I'd like to be a director I worked with Coca-Cola then, within the Coca-Cola company, and I'd like to see myself in Atlanta, in the head office. And as I said that, immediately he blushed. And this was his response. You, director, Atlanta, better get ready for divorce. Hello? I like the silence. Because for me, I was in shock. He asked me a question. It's appraisal time, right? I gave him an answer. And that was the response. Now, and he says to me, that's the end of the appraisal. And I thought, what? You know how you prepare for appraisals, even with prayer and fasting? You know, that the conversation will go well. And I left. And he shooed me out of his office. And I immediately called my husband. And he goes, how was it? And I said, you won't believe what happened. And he said, but wait, tell me, how come it's over in such a... I said, I don't know. And he said, what do you mean you don't know? I know you not to be short of words. I said, I honestly, this time I was short of words. And I told him the story exactly as it happened. And my husband said, oh, no, that's not my wife. Go back and tell him. I said, tell him what? He said, go back and tell him. I said, tell him what? He said, no, it's your story. I said, what should I tell him? If I'm not careful, he'll fire me. And he said, is that the end of the world? And I mused over it. I even prayed over it. At the third day, very significant, third day, not next day, second day, third day, I went back to my boss. I said, oh, by the way, I don't think we finished that appraisal conversation. You asked me a question, I gave you an answer, and you said something to me that zipped me. That's not me. I said, I'm here to tell you that I will not only break through the glass ceiling, I will do it, and I will not divorce. Did you hear me? I will not only break through the glass ceiling, but I will do it, and I will not divorce. My sisters are nodding their heads. That was how, and that's how I've taken this story to many young women, many would-be executives, and I dare say many of them have taken that story and run with the challenges they were facing. And I remember this boss, after I said that to him, guess what? He was shocked. He was speechless. And I still sat there, and I was just smiling at him and nodding and repeating. I said, verily, verily, I say unto you, I will break through the glass ceiling, and I will not divorce. Verily, verily, I say unto you, my story is this year will be 39 years old. Wow! I'm saying the impact. Lara, thank you. I don't have the mic. My voice can carry. Lara, thank you very much for a wonderful opportunity. And not my own story, but the stories of the 56 and many more that will come after the 56, so that they can be authentic, and especially so that others can learn. But my story is hinged on values, and the values is about my Christian ethics and the value of family. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Titilayo. Okay, so I apologize for the earlier error. May I also call on to share the responses, Mrs. Funke Amobi, if she's around. Mrs. Funke Amobi. Okay, may we have Oyewumi Ayodeji. Oyewumi Ayodeji. All right, please, let's give a round of applause, please.
Good evening, everyone. My name is... Sorry, why I'm smiling? Because she told me nothing about this to begin with. But I would imagine that that is one of the very few things and powerful things that a coach would do for an individual. She happens to be my coach, by the way, and I am very privileged to be on the board. And I just saw a list of the other people that were on the board, people that I look forward to in the industry, by the way. I'm supposed to share about the book, right? Okay, great. I would maybe share a parallel between my story and our journey, I believe, writing this book. Lara Yeku, Coach Lara Yeku, as I like to call her, was someone that I met, interestingly, on LinkedIn. Maybe let me just backtrack again, sorry, to my own story. I happen to be indigenously a member of the millennial gang, so to speak. Very young, but I found that, interestingly, the privilege of the platform, or leverage rather, that our generation has is that we have a platform that technology offers us, the ability, or perspective rather, to be able to pick on a good number of people. A good number of people who happen to be my coaches, people or mentors rather, people that I lean on their backs and look forward to and ask questions. People, whenever I have challenges, I could ring them up and they are very available, to talk to. Lara happens to be one of those. And she has given me the privilege to be on this book, to share my story. And Mr. Hussein Udo had shared something that I think is my takeaway, and for both the book and for myself as a person, is that both coaching and mentoring, and this book allows you interesting perspective. The ability to be able to see from a myriad of so many people to be able to connect your story with their story, and to see that you're on a journey, and then you have a goal. Your journey is nothing unlike other people's journeys. Your journey will get you to where you want to be, and as long as you are able to look up to these people and be able to, meet with them as much as you are. Forgive me for the budget, I didn't really prepare for this, but as long as you're able to tap into all of the energies of these people, of mentors and coaches that are very readily available, a lot of them here to help you. You would find yourself eating that goal, you find yourself eating the vision that you want for your life. So I'd encourage you to read the book. I happen to have bought 5 copies of the book that I will share with a lot of people, people that I currently also mentor and coach. So thank you again for the opportunity. It's a privilege.
Thank you very much, your DG. Now to the moment we have been waiting for. We are about to remove the veil from the face of the masquerade. It is said where I come from. First off, may I have Coach Lara and husband, Pastor Mrs. Emi Morgan. Next of all, may I also have Mr. Wanjadino. Okay. May I also have the VCIPM? Is Titilayo Akisoya? Okay. Now introducing.
HR career journey, need to reach a mentor to guide you but finally challenging to assess one. Wisdom is an asset that is majorly cultivated with years of labor and experience. Now, accessing secrets from those who've gone there first makes the journey easy. Get inspired with powerful and authentic stories of an array of HR professionals today, with stories from 56 HR industry experts. My HR Storybook deploys the concept of storytelling to open us all to the world of imaginative or e-mentoring, and serves as a guide to impact the world and bridge the gap of professional mentorship in the HR industry. Through this book, Lara Yeku has blended 2 powerful concepts, storytelling and mentorship, to reconnect people with the requirement for success. Now, introducing my HR Storybook.
Okay, thank you very much. Now to remove the veil, I would like some people at that end and some people at this end while we put that on. And my count, sorry, could you please, closer, please come to this side. Thank you very much. Could you please put on the side, ma'am? So you're just going to hold the tip of the lum back as lifted back hold it the other time. And at my count, at the sound of M, that's HRM. At the sound of M, you're going to pull and pull the bag of blum down. Now, H, R, sorry ma'am, with that strength, pull that balloon down. H, R, M. the masquerade has been unveiled, my HR storybook. We move straight to the launching. And I shall have the honor of passing the mic round. First I'm going to call it on the floor anyway, and if you feel like you also want to launch it, just raise your hand, I'll bring the microphone to you. But for those up here first, I'm going to hand over the mic to you, and we shall be launching it. And I will be privileged to hand over the mic first to Mrs. Titi Layo Akinsoya, Vice President, Chartered Institute of Personnel Management. Okay. Decided this first now. Okay. Mr. Hussein, I've been asked to give you the mic first. Decided this first now, man.
I don't know why this always happens. You say ladies first. When money is involved. It's a very rare privilege. Let us put it this way. I'm not going to name a figure, but suffice to say, every HR person, every HR leader in Dangote Group would get a copy of this book. And as Lara knows, all of my mentees that are in my mentoring group would also get a copy of the book. So let's just hold on to the amount. I'm not going to name figures.
Thank you very much, sir. I'll move on to Mrs. Titi Layo Akinsoya. You've done the man, ladies first now.
Sorry.
Well, I don't know. I'm launching this on various platforms or categories where I am a leader. But as Vice President of the Chartered Institute of Personnel Management, I hereby do declare, I hereby do decree, and I know they're at the back listening, that every time somebody is passing through the executive route of certification, they should be given a copy. As the current president of the Institute of Chartered, of the Institute of Coaching Federation of Nigeria, I'm outgoing, by the way. I believe my gift to all our members of ICF Nigeria chapter is a copy.
Thank you so very much, ma'am. I'll pass the microphone to Pastor Mrs. Yemi Morgan. Sorry, Yika Morgan, I apologize.
So just before we cut the cake, I'll read straight. Mine is on the spiritual side to ensure that this book gets to a number of pastors' wives, and also get Lara to do a book signing in Latana Ventures. We'll also encourage, and on the day of the book signing, all of you will be invited to that occasion.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Just before we move straight on to the cutting of the cake, please be informed that we have POS terminals around. We came prepared. We have POS terminals around at the back. Just signify. Lara, or should I pass the microphone and the floor should launch? I'm identifying some faces, and they cannot run if I come to them. Okay. Just in case you need to purchase some copies, we have POS seminars at the back. Just meet any of the person that has the Ask Me shirt, and we will be graciously happy to have you purchase not just one but many copies of my HR Storybook. Now, straight to the cutting of the cake. So I'm going to pass the microphone to Pastor Yinka Morgan.
have the knife. Odoayo, Sawyer, you wrote the forward. Please come out. Come forward. Odoayo is the general manager at MTN. Kemi Anabajo, another HR director of the Oando Group. I want to invite Mary A.B. Ibe, HR director of A.B. Ibe. Let's put hands together.
Some of the council members of CRPM here. I see SCM around. Afana, please come up. I see Mrs. Adioti. Thank you. And if I haven't called you, it means I haven't seen you, but we need you here in front. Any CRPM, any member of leadership of CRPM, please come forward. Thank you.
And so while we're waiting for the knife to be moved closer, like at the audience, please stand up. Stand up. It's an occasion that one day you will also be writing the book in Jesus' name. And so as we celebrate Lara today, Lara Yeku, your hands on it, and everyone else will cut the cake.
Thank you.
We'll cut the cake. We're going to cut the cake. We started with prayer, acknowledging God as our source and what that has ordered our steps in our journey, in an HR journey. So we'll start by saying a J, E, S, U, and S. Congratulations. Let's put hands together for Lara Yeku on this milestone achievement.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Mentorship is a great form of human capital development. As the world of work continues to evolve, experiencing drastic changes and disruption, it is not only through technology advancement, but also through creativity, innovation, and more human-centered approaches that enables us to drive experiences that impact our humanity. My HR Storybook is chronicled on the experiences of 56 HR professionals, wherein they've shared their high moments and low moments, and of course key learnings to help bridge the mentorship gap that we have in the industry. I'm excited about this book, and the reviews have been so awesome as well. Thank you so much for believing in this dream. Thank you as we collaborate as well.